Some call it the real war on women. Sex-selective abortion, the process of aborting a child based on their gender, is a procedure that happens in countries all around the world, including here in Canada. I'm Maggie John, Member of Parliament Cathay Wagantall, who wants to make sex-selective abortion an offense under the criminal code. MP Wagantall joins us now to explain why. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
What do you think of that statement? Is sex-selective abortion a war on women?
Yes, in honesty it is, because this is a circumstance where, you know, in Canada we value equality, we value human rights, and yet this is being allowed to take place. And, you know, we should be valuing men and women equally right from the earliest stages of life.
So why bring up the issue of sex-selective abortion and introduce this bill now?
Well, now is the perfect time, actually. Canada's facing a lot of disunity, and on this particular topic, it's constantly said that we as Canadians are very polarized, and yet a Maru Blue Dart poll was done early in this year, right at the time I was presenting this bill, that showed that 84% of Canadians believe that sex-selective abortion should be illegal. The questions were all very straightforward, legal or illegal. So this is an issue that brings us together on abortion. And we have no laws in Canada. We're the only country in the world, democratic country, that has no parameters, even though the Supreme Court did say this is something that the legislators had a responsibility to bring in.
And in that study, let's be specific. While, as you said, 84% of people disagree with sex-selective abortion, they still highly agree, Canadians highly agree to abortion being legal. Am I right?
Absolutely right. Yes, the majority of Canadians want abortion to be available. So that is a truth. It's also true, though, that the majority of Canadians do not agree with sex-selective abortion. In other words, simply choosing to have an abortion because you're not happy with the particular sex of the child that you're carrying, or it may be your family as well. So this is an opportunity for us as Canadians to come together to bring about laws that impact abortion that we all agree on.
Shed some light on this for us. Who's doing this? Who's asking for these type of procedures?
Well, that's an interesting question. There have been studies done specifically on immigrant communities where in their homelands this is a normal practice, and so it is being brought to Canada. And the Canadian Medical Association has actually indicated that from those various studies that this is a growing problem in Canada. There's also the scenario of they call them oh gosh, it's skipping my mind. The circumstances where a family would like to have a boy and a girl. So in that case, if you already have a boy, you'd like to have a little girl. And this is not right. And the majority of Canadians understand that. It's actually illegal in Canada when you're having in vitro fertilization to choose the embryo based on the sex of that embryo. You know, science has come so far, we know at the very instant of conception the genetic sex of that child. And so if it's illegal at the embryonic stage, then it should be illegal as well within a normal procedure of having a child. And the majority of Canadians, like I say, agree with this. And so that's why I'm excited to bring it forward. It's something that Canadians can come together on and have unity on this issue.
Right. Would you say that women who choose sex-selective abortion might be forced to do this? Are they being forced from your findings?
Sure, yes. In many cases, it's coerced because of the dynamics of the family and the husband or even in-laws wanting a particular outcome. So it's not always in the case where the woman wants it. And that's why, you know, by making it a medical procedure that is not allowed in Canada, that it's a criminal offense for a doctor to do an abortion simply on the basis of the sex of the child. It gives our doctors some credibility in being able to bring that information to that family. And it also says to other countries and to people coming to Canada that this is our value system and that they need to adhere to that if they choose to come to Canada. So it reflects within our laws what our values are as Canadians.
Well, I think that was going to be my last question. Why put the onus on the medical practitioner instead of the woman?
Right. Yes, this in no way impacts a woman in making that decision. And of course, there's no way to force her to give a particular answer. She may actually be not telling the truth if she says that she's not having the abortion due to the sex of the child. But what this does is makes it clear in Canadian law that this is what our values are. And that's a huge role for our criminal code to indicate within our country and to internationally to the world that these are things that are important to us. And it does as well give doctors that support in realizing that this isn't something that so often they want to take part in. And as well, it also makes it easier for those that are doing ultrasounds to deny, in some cases in BC, the father to come into the room, because that's kept just between the ultrasound technician and the doctor.
Some of your critics would say that allowing a practitioner to ask or find out the reasoning behind an abortion violates the privacy of the woman. What would you say to that?
Yeah, this bill doesn't actually do that.
Okay.
All it does is have to indicate whether or not it's due to the sex of the child. You're not required as the pregnant woman to give the reasons why you're coming in to have that abortion. If it comes into law, the medical practitioner has the opportunity to say, I am not, within Canada, you cannot have an abortion based solely on the sex of that child. And we are also within the bill requiring the federal government to work with the provinces to come up with what expectations would be there as far as recording information around that particular question. So I'm expecting the federal government to do its job in working with the provinces on this, not like they've done with assisted suicide, where basically they handed that whole responsibility down to the provinces.
Mm-hmm. It's still sad that in our world that boys are more preferred than girls in some cultures.
Exactly. And that was the case in China, as you know, when they made it a one-child policy. All kinds of baby girls did lose their lives because in their culture, a boy to carry on the family is very, very important. And what they've ended up with is a very lopsided environment for a population, right? And so they've changed their laws. Actually, even China has a law against sex selective abortion. So Canada certainly, we're the only country, democratic country, ourselves and Korea, that have no laws in this regard.
So what's next? What are the next steps for this bill?
Well, as you know, Parliament has not been sitting for months, and we're prorogued now. Right. So fortunately, the private members' bills aren't impacted by that. When the House does come back, they're still there. And at this point, my bill has been presented in the House, but it hasn't been debated at all. So we are waiting on that. Unfortunately, because of all of this time without Parliament sitting, there's 30 bills that are ahead of mine that need to go through first and second reading and then voted on. So it should have been discussed and debated in the House in June, but now we're looking further down the road. Regardless, there's a lot of information about it on my website, and there's a petition available there as well that you can fill out. Of course, COVID has made that difficult to do, but as we're able to carefully do that type of thing, I'm getting more and more results from that petition being sent in my office to let the House know and our leader know. As you are aware, our Prime Minister insists that he's a feminist and that equality is very important to him. So this is an issue that definitely should be debated in the House of Commons.
Well, we will definitely be keeping an eye on this bill and others coming through the House of Commons in the next couple of months, as you said. Thank you again, Cathay Wagantall, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.